Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here to talk about a very special video. Have y'all been watching the P. Diddy trial? I haven't been watching it, but I not like live because I have to go to work. But I've been reading about it when I get home at night, watching clips. And I know you all wanted me to do more current events. So here I am talking about a current event because, whoo, this breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I tell you. The stories coming out of this trial are absolutely horrific and horrible. But I want to talk about a few things and I want to appeal to a few people. Diddy's a predator. He absolutely is a predator. He preyed upon this woman, Cassandra Ventura. Um, he preyed upon her as a young lady. And as she says, she was naive. But I know a lot of people want to say that Diddy broke Cassie. Okay. This is where I'm going to differ with people. Cassie was broken already. Let me tell you what happened. And what he did was he further damaged her. I'm going to say this is my personal opinion because I grew up in a city. Like I tell y'all, I grew up in LA and I've seen it my whole life. I always warn people, don't come to LA. Do not come to LA because there's a lot of glitz. There's a lot of glamour. There's a lot of fakery, foolery, and it attracts a lot of people who are looking for fame and fortune and the spotlight, and they believe they're going to make it. And all of this makes them susceptible, all of it to the predators like Diddy. So I'm not going to victim blame Cassie at all because she was not only a victim of Diddy back before she even got to wherever they are, New York, Miami, I have no idea. She was already a victim of something. I don't know. She was damaged before Diddy got her, and he did more damage. He preyed upon her. And that's what predators do. They find the weak and they exploit them even more. And um, but it was just horrific, y'all. It was just horrific. I hate the I don't know. I'm going to talk about the trial a little bit, but hopefully maybe I also touch a few people that says find something else to do with your life. I'm telling you, the odds are not in your favor. I see it in LA. The streets are full of homeless people that came to LA who wanted to make it big in Hollywood or the music industry or the theater or the arts, and now they can't even afford to live. They're just all along the streets of LA. You ever come to LA and see the homeless? A lot of them are people who moved here, a lot of the times moved here for a new start, a new beginning, to follow a dream. But I would just encourage people to find something else to do. Um, because the odds ain't with you. You may see all these big stars in Hollywood and who's making all the money. It's a small fraction. It is, I don't even know what the percentage, it's got to be in the low teens. The odds of you making it, it's got to be in the low teens. And then when you make it, you may get a good movie or a good this, but it doesn't end up lasting. It doesn't end up lasting. This is be a public service announcement. Don't come. Don't come to LA. Don't come to New York. Don't come to Miami. Don't go to any of these places. Find something else to do with your life. Find some other place to give you value, to fulfill you. Um, Whatever it is you're looking for in these industries, find another place and hide your daughters. Hide your daughters from the predators like Diddy, because what Diddy knows is every day there's a person who's willing to come to him to sell their soul to him to get what he has or to get something from him. And it's just rhyme for the taking. Poor Cassie. Poor Cassie. But Cassie was on the stand. She's given evidence. She was clearly pregnant. So she's pregnant now with her. I don't know if it's her second or her third baby. Happy to see that she's gone on to live a good life with this man she's with, Alex Fine. I think he has something to do with her suing Get Diddy, and I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him. Uh, Cassie is clearly a person who needs a little bit of like someone to sort of help her take control of her life. So at first, I think she looked for that in Diddy, and he exploited her. He used her, abused her. And then it seemed like as she left Diddy, she finally got the strength to leave Diddy, and she moved on. She found this man, Alex Fine, who he looks like he loves her, takes care of her, cherishes her. I hope so. I really hope so. And it looks like as she started sharing her life with him, he said, girl, you've been abused. You have been abused. and you need to go back there and sue that man and get some money so you and I can live a good life. I'm not going to say he's using her too. Okay, I'm not going to say that. But I really do suspect that it was him and his influence that gave her the strength and the courage to go back and sue Diddy. And then that's why Diddy ponying up all that money really soon. How much did he pay her within one day? 30 million. 30 million. And in the end, she's still here testifying against him. I thought when you got that much money, you had to sign like not an NDA or something, but it prevented you from ever talking about them. But anyway, I guess I don't know the law. But Diddy paid her 30 million and she's still here testifying. So she's winning. She's winning on that front, but she carries the scars with her for the rest of her life. That part ain't winning. I imagine she is got some self-torture going on about the things that she did. But she's now 38. And when they ask her, what does she do for a living? She says she's a musician. You're not a musician, Cassie. In fact, I mean, we later on find out that Diddy supposedly signed her to a 10 record deal to lure her in. That was a lure. He knew he was never going to publish any of her music. Let me see the contract. We know that contract was fake, bogus, everything else. That was to keep her in his back pocket. And she's still saying she want to be a musician. She still ain't giving it up. At 38, she's still saying she's a musician. She should just say she's a stay-at-home mom. What's wrong with that, Cassie? Just say, what do you do now for a living? I'm a stay-at-home mom because Diddy paid me $30 million to stay at home and say nothing, but here I am talking. I tell you, she said she and Diddy were in a relationship for 10 years. That's what was going on in the court. And she said during that 10 years, there was a lot of violence, arguments. Diddy was knocking her over, dragging her, kicking her. We saw the videos, if you didn't, of that hotel room. He did a lot to her over 10 years. And when they asked her, were you ever injured? She said, yeah, I was injured. I had black eyes, I had red eyes, I had bruises all over my body. They went on and showed that video of him dragging her through the hallway of the hotel with cameras around, and nobody ever did anything. People was always around when Cassie was getting abused. Security guards, hotel people, but no one ever did anything. I tell you, money talks. I don't know why people are lured to people with money, because let me tell you something. When you want to always hang around people with money, just let it be known they're going to always have more power than you. Because money gives people power. So in a lot of ways, I don't even know why people want to hang around rich people. Shoot. Why? If you broke, you shouldn't be hanging around no rich people because you're not on equal footing. You sure not. You are not on equal footing at all. And so when they started talking to her about all these freak-offs, she said at first she didn't even know what a freak-off was. But it was Combs who first sort of, talked about it and said he was into this, He liked to see Cassie have sex with other men. But one thing they haven't talked about is, all the rumors are going around that Diddy liked to be with men, but Cassie didn't mention none of that. At least I didn't see it in any of her testimony. It's really just about her having sex with other men and Diddy watching. This is what we see. And she said she was 22 at the time. And she said it made her stomach churn. But she did it for 10 years. And she said the reason why she did it is because she just continually wanted to make him happy. She said at no point in time did her happiness ever come into play. It was all for Diddy to make him happy. And she said she didn't have much choice with it. And she said that she actually was the one that hired the escorts. That was a surprise. I thought Diddy was the one that did it and they made her do it. But I think she says at first maybe Diddy did it, hired someone. But after that, she became the party planner. She became the one that not only planned the parties, for herself with Diddy, and then she also started planning all the freak-offs. I heard these freak-offs were lasting 4 days. 4 days. Cassie said she was so tired after planning and participating in the freak-offs, she needed a whole week of rest. A whole week of rest. I know right now they're charging Diddy with trafficking, like bringing in sex workers and stuff like that. So Of course, he paid everybody because, you know, when these men would come in and have sex with Cassie, he would give them a couple of $1,000s. He was paying for everything. And Cassie set everything up. You know, she participated, set it up because she was abused. There was a lot of people who had to help Diddy pull off a party like this. People can barely pull off a Thanksgiving dinner without help. So, you know, these big parties that Diddy was throwing, he had a lot of help, a lot of people. So I don't know if a lot of people are gonna be going to jail. I really don't know. He threw them, he paid for them, but there were a lot of people who aid and abetted a man who had a lot of money. Like I say, stay away from rich people. Stay away from, if you ain't rich, stay away from rich people because you can't protect yourself. It's hard to protect yourself against rich people because they have all the resources that money can buy, and you are always going to be at a disadvantage. Um, but she says during all this time, you know, when she was walking into court, she didn't want to look at Combs. She didn't want to make no eye contact. She went right on the stand and did her testimony. And she, in a lot of ways, she felt she was blackmailed too, because once she started doing all this vile stuff and stuff she was embarrassed of, not only was she embarrassed that he would make it public, she was also scared for her life that he would abuse her even more. I thought Cassie lived with him the whole time, but somewhere I read that at one point in time she did have her own place, and she had a place in, I think maybe, you know, the Wilshire corridor, and then she had another place over in Studio City. And Diddy paid for one of her places, but somewhere along the way she made enough money to pay for her own place. So I guess she was also on the payroll of Diddy. So Diddy might have abused her, and she was also the party planner, but I guess she got paid. Because I don't know how she afforded her own place. I don't Has Cassie ever had a hit song where she made money outside of Diddy? Has she made money outside of Diddy to afford her own place? So I guess he was giving her allowance or paying her to be his party planner, and she was also a participant. Like I said, Cassie was broken before she got to Diddy, and he just broke her more. Broke her more. That's why don't come to LA. Don't go to New York. Don't go to Miami. Stay where you are. If you are in Kentucky, stay there. You in Alabama, stay there. Wherever you are, stay there. Make yourself a good life. Don't go to these cities. These cities chew people up who are not whole. I'm telling you, they chew you up. Um, she said the Combs would always make her feel special. I bet he did. Anybody who is lavishing you with gifts, taking you on private jets, you're going to feel like you were special. You are special because most people are not going on private jets. Most people aren't eating at high fancy restaurants. Most people are not having the access to places you go. So yeah, you are special, but just because you're special don't mean you're going to be treated right. And that's what she found out. She's confusing special with being treated right. Two different things. Two different. She said she was young and inexperienced. And but after she went back and she sued Diddy and got her 30 million, that's when she turned over all the evidence. So she turned over laptops, phones to the government, and I think they used a lot of that information to get Diddy where he is now. They started showing, I guess, in the trial pictures of him with Cassie since over 10 years or whatever. And that's when we found out she originally had a 10 album deal with his label Bad Boys. And she was 19 at the time, and Diddy was 36. We're seeing a lot of this. We're seeing a lot of older men want to be with younger women. We run around talking about Shannon Sharp. That's what I'm telling you. Money breeds power. And if you are broke with no money and you trying to get a dream, stop hanging around rich people. There you go. Stop hanging around rich people. So she thought that this was going to be her huge break. You know, she was coming on out. She said on her 21st birthday, that was the first time, 19 and 21, that Diddy kissed her. So 19 and 21, she gets to see what Diddy's doing because she's around him. But I guess at that time, she isn't he hasn't preyed upon her yet. But I would imagine she would have had to see some things that Diddy's doing out there. But she didn't leave. 1921, she didn't leave. But so at 21, That is when Diddy first kissed her. So I don't know. I guess it could be made that Diddy didn't touch her when she was 19. He waited till she was 21. And then that's when he decided to go in and kind of ramp it up. Ramp it up. He wheeled her in. He probably was taking her fancy places. And now all of a sudden he groomed her. And now at 21, he says, I'm going to pounce on you now, girl. And she says at 21, she didn't have the vocabulary for some of the things they talked about. She says she was curious and she wanted to be around him because she felt special. And she didn't really know what she felt. She was confused by it all. So at 21, she was really confused by what she was seeing. And so it's almost like she was in a fog, you know. And I don't know when they had sex. She said he kissed her at 21, but I don't know how old she was when they had sex. And she said the first time they had sex that he gave her ecstasy, that was the first time. And they were on a boat in Miami. And after that trip, after being on the boat in Miami, having ecstasy, having sex with P. Diddy, they started to spend a lot more time together. But she was a side chick. So now she's the side chick. And she was sleeping with Diddy because Diddy was publicly with his mom, Kim Porter, with the babies. And she knew it. So remember, at this point in time, Cassie's young. She says she's dumb. She doesn't know what a side chick is. She doesn't know what a freak off is. She doesn't know what ecstasy is. Cassie's basically saying, I don't know about any of this stuff. Where's Cassie from? Cassie's from Connecticut. This is what it says. Cassie's from Connecticut. So at 21, Cassie doesn't know about freak offs. She doesn't know about what a side chick is. She doesn't know what drugs are. She doesn't know any of this, but she's come here and she's hooked up with a rich man. Like I said, Cassie was broken before she got to Diddy, and Diddy just broke her more. She said she knew she was a side chick. She knew that Kim Porter was the public woman. She was a private woman, but she was on the jet. She was flying around, and she was enamored with P. Diddy. Well, I'm sure she would be. Who wouldn't be in awe of a man that's a billionaire and looking at the lifestyle that he lives? You know, it's an old saying: you can look but don't touch. Look, but you don't gawk. Look, but you don't touch. You know, Cassie got close to the fire. She got in the fire. She didn't just want to look from afar. She got in the fire, and she got burned, 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 burned. And let me tell you, we can put P. Diddy in jail. We can lock up the key, throw him away because he did some horrible things to this woman. But there's always going to be another Cassie. You know, people believe what we have to do is we got to get rid of all the P. Diddy's of the world. But no, we need to do more than that. We need to get rid of the P. Diddy's and we need to heal the Cassies of the world that are susceptible to the P. Diddy's. You got to do both because for every P. Diddy you get rid of, there's going to be 10 Cassies that come along for the next guy. That's what's sad. It's a constant supply. It's like people trying to get rid of drugs. You got the drug dealers and you got the drug users, right? You get rid of the drug dealers, you put them in jail. The drug users, you know what they find? Another dealer. Another dealer. So I don't know the solution. I really don't know the solution. But she said pretty much for the most part, Diddy had control over her whole life. Her whole life. Everything just moved quickly for her, she said. There was no way for her to keep up what was going on. She said anytime she would get upset or didn't like what was going on with Diddy, he abused her, he slapped her, hit her in the face, threw her on the ground. She said he was very moody, very, very moody. And he would go on these rages. Of course he would. He got a lot of money. Who's going to stop him? Who going to check me, boo? Diddy, with all that money, who going to check me, boo? You got security guards standing right there. Who is going to check me, boo? P. Diddy would use the abusive language like watch your mouth, slap her, hit her, drag her by her hair. Every day, this is what she said was going on. It was psychological abuse that she endured for 10 years every single day. And then next thing you know, freak offs became her job. She wasn't now just participating in them. She was hosting them. She was recruiting talent. And she said the longest one lasted 4 days, y'all. 4 days. Can you believe it? She said every time her stomach was in knots, but she kept doing it. She said the scheduling the freak offs and all the body oil and baby oil and condoms and setting up all the different rooms, in the house or whatever they was doing. She said it was no time to do anything else, with no time to make her music. No time to make her music. So I guess she's not a musician anymore. She is a freak off party planner. And so she said there was no room and no space for anything else because all she did was plan these parties that involved taking drugs and drinking and having sex with strangers. And it lasted 4 days. Um, Staying out for days on end, taking drugs, drinking, and having sex with a stranger. This is what she said she would do. She said they would be 36 hours long, 48 hours long, 72 hours long. The longest one was 4 days. Can you believe it? Can you imagine a freak off for 4 long days with all these different men? But Cassie says she is a musician. She's not a party planner. She's a musician. And they asked her, how many songs have you recorded? And she said hundreds, hundreds of songs she's recorded. But the freak offs became her priority over her music career. She wasn't publishing no music. She wasn't doing any of that. The freak offs were her job. So I guess that's how he paid her, and that's how she was able to afford her own apartment. And she wouldn't look at him. She rubbed her belly a lot. She's pregnant. I guess this got to be a lot testifying like this while she's pregnant. She's 8 months pregnant, they say. And she often said that P. Diddy used to also verbally abuse her, put her down, talk about how she looked too Mexican, um, and told her he wanted her to look a certain kind of way, wear a certain color nail polish. He would just control every aspect of her life. Yeah, because he had all the power and all the money. Like I said, poor people don't hang around rich people. Poor people don't hang around rich people because you're not going to have any power in the relationship. It's just that way. When you hang around a billionaire and you broke trying to get one song published, good Lord. Um, she said definitely her self-worth took a hit during the entirety of the relationship. I know it did. The truth of the matter is her self-worth was hurt prior to the relationship. And then what Diddy did was he further destroyed it. I really want to make that distinction. Um, she said he controlled everything. Some days he wanted her to be really sexy. Other days, um, he wanted her to be more like a tomboy. Almost sometimes didn't even want her around. She said, yeah, they asked her something about were guns around. She said, yeah, sometimes guns were around. And she thought that it was a scare tactic. So you knew the guns were a scare tactic, but you didn't know everything else was a scare tactic? I don't know. I don't know any of this kind of stuff. He says the way that he would punish her is to take away her electronics. This is like 15. Take away her electronics, her cars, her possessions as a form of punishment. He would take the car away, her jewelry. And she says, oh, but the physical things never really mattered to her. She just wanted his approval. Like I said, maybe so. And maybe that's what she came into the relationship with, always wanting approval. And he took advantage of that. Um, he always had his team do the dirty work, take her stuff away, his security team. That's what it's called, security. I don't know who the security is protecting because they're the cover up team because they covered up everything that went on in Diddy's life. We always know that Combs was carrying guns around. I think he got into something with J-Lo. Cassie admits that she also carried guns for Diddy in her handbags, even though she was on mushrooms, going to freak offs. And but you know what? When she was saying that she was scared of the gun, I thought maybe he was pointing it at her. But now she's saying that when they would go to hotel rooms, she was the one that would hold the gun. So I guess, the years go by, it just gets worse. The stories just get worse and worse and worse and worse. And doing these freak offs, she said she was awake the whole time. And, He would bring in sex workers sometimes just to watch her with another man. And then he would sort of, I guess, jack off watching the two of them. And, he introduced to her the idea of switching partners. She didn't know nothing about it. She didn't have Google. She didn't have no friends she could talk to. All her information came from Diddy. According to Cassie, every time Diddy introduced her to something, she knew nothing about it. She had no source of information, no other source of news. All her news about things came from Diddy. She didn't Google. She didn't watch social media. She didn't watch TikTok. Nothing. All her information came from Diddy. He introduced her to everything, taught her everything she knows, everything. Poor Cassie. Poor Cassie. I feel sorry for her. I really wonder how much she has matured, because right now she's with her husband, Alex, fine, but I would imagine that hopefully Alex is taking probably the same position in her life. It's just maybe he's more of a kind, gentle man. That's what I hope. That's what I hope. Because obviously Cassie has very little ability to understand life things on her own. She's telling us that. She's telling every time she tells us that she was introduced to something new or told about something new, she says it came from Diddy, which means she never heard it from anyone else. So, there's one thing to be, oh, I knew about it, but he introduced it to me in terms of that was the first time I did it with him. I get it, right? There are a lot of I'm not a drug person, never done drugs, but I know about the drug. So if someone couldn't teach me about what a drug is, they could maybe introduce me to taking it. So, but Cassie, the way she explains it is she didn't know none of this stuff. She ain't never heard of none of it. None of it. He told her about it and he introduced her to it. Um, she was high. She was doing a lot of drugs, a lot of ecstasy during this time. She was high. And she would say when she was having sex with these escorts, Diddy was paying them thousands of dollars to take part in it. And every 5 minutes, she said they would have to apply baby oil. No wonder there was thousands of baby oils. She was saying the way Diddy liked it, he liked us oiled up. Everybody had to be oiled up. I'm telling you, but I still haven't heard Diddy partaking. He was watching all this time. And I'm thinking if Diddy was doing this other stuff, why didn't Cassie see that too? Is she going to testify again? We need to hear more. Did she watch all the other stuff? And they would go to hotel rooms and book a bunch of hotel rooms. And in each room, there'd be stuff going on with freakoffs, with baby oil and lubricant and condoms. And Diddy also said he wanted the baby oil to be heated. It had to be heated with hot water, and he wanted to be glistening. So everybody applied it every 5 minutes. Diddy is like he acting like the executive producer of a porn show, and he's directing people what to do, what moves to make. Heat up the baby oil with hot water. Slather it all over yourself. We want you to glisten. And then they want him to get in the pool with the baby oil on. He want a pool scene. This is just a hot mess, y'all. It is just a hot mess. There was candle wax oil all over the place when they would go get these rooms. It was a hot mess. So sometimes Diddy will participate as a threesome with Cassie, but she still doesn't say in the threesome if Diddy was also having sex with the male. It's pretty much they were both just having sex with her. And then there was one point in time where she said Diddy and the male escort urinated all over her. She said she felt disgusted and she felt humiliated, but she was too afraid to leave. She did say that although she was the party planner and she hired the escorts, Combs did have to approve the escorts. And besides wanting the baby oil heated, all the escorts had to be black. They had to be black. He wanted black males for the escorts. So Diddy says she had to go to different websites to find all these black male sex workers. One time she tried to find some white male escort workers, but Diddy had to approve it. And when he saw the white male escort, he said, no, I don't want him. Absolutely not. And whenever she went and would hire the escorts and told them what was going to go on, they would actually be having sex with her. She would just say it was her husband's fantasy. But she ain't married to Diddy. Cassie, girl, you a musician and you called yourself his wife. Okay, Cassie, this is crazy. So this went on for 10 years. Like I said, they drinking marijuana, ketamine, mushrooms, freakoffs. Escorts are paid anywhere from $1,500 to $6,000 to get flowed in. Flued in, is that what y'all say? Flued in for all these sex parties. One of the most famous escorts was called the Punisher. That was his name. They said they used him a couple of times in New York City, and he was called the Punisher. I guess he was punishing a few people. So she said anytime she had sex, she always had to take drugs because she had to disconnect. I know she did. After a while, after you're abused like this, to really go with this for 10 years, you've got to be on drugs to sort of disassociate yourself. That's what she said. She would have to disassociate herself. So she would take more and more drugs during the freak offs. She was probably on drugs every day. And then if she was on drugs every day, then she had to take more during the freak offs just to do the freak offs, especially if she's having drugs with some man named the Punisher. She said sometimes she took so many drugs that, she was throwing up. But Combs would tell her, get yourself together, girl. Get yourself together so she could continue in the freak off. She said another thing Diddy would like her to do is describe the man's penis, what was going on, how she was feeling. So even though she was high or drunk, she still had to have enough wherewithal to be able to describe what she was feeling because she needed to describe this to Combs. Now, I don't know if Combs' fantasy was to see her get punished, if his fantasy was the fantasy of the man. But like I said, she was humiliated, and it was very awkward, and it was like he was directing a fantasy, right? But once again, she doesn't mention anything about him joining in with the man. And all this time, this stuff is being recorded, and Diddy's recording it, and she's always asking Diddy to delete the sex videos, but I guess he wanted to keep them because he wanted to keep them as blackmail over her. But yet here we are, the videos end up being used against him. I guess did Cassie never have that idea that just like he could use videos on her, she could use them on him? I guess eventually she had the idea because when she got with Alex Fine, he told her, girl, you could use them videos. She said sometimes, Diddy's need to watch was so bad that even when he wasn't in the room with her, he would say, set up the FaceTime camera and I can watch it from my office while I get some business done. Diddy's like, why I need to watch porn? I got my own live porn studio right here in the house with 2 actors and actresses. What a hot mess, y'all. A hot, hot mess. So although we saw that scene from the hotel, him dragging her, kicking her, stomping her, obviously that was not the one and only time. So all that apology he did on camera talking about how poorly he acted in that moment, and how horrible it was, he would have had to have 1,000 apologies because according to Cassie, that was an ongoing thing. It was an ongoing thing. It's sad. Like I said, don't come to LA. Don't go to New York. Don't go to Miami. Stay away, people. Stay away. Fame, fortune, money is not worth your soul. It's not. And if you already are broken, the last place you need to come to is New York, Chicago, LA, Miami, because all that's going to happen is there are people standing around like the pre-Diddys of the world waiting for you to show up so they can abuse you more and just snatch your soul from your body. Yep. I'm kind of happy this is being shown because I want it to be a warning to a lot of other young ladies. Don't do it. And to young men, because we find out that P. Diddy's world exploited a lot of men too. A lot of men, a lot of black men, because obviously, like he told Cassie, he likes black men. A lot of people got exploited for what? Money, fame, fortune, a chance to roll a record deal, a chance to be in Hollywood, a chance to make a movie, a chance to be friends with a billionaire. It ain't worth it. It's not worth the risk. Don't hang around rich people when you broke. There is my advice. Don't hang around billionaires when you're broke. That's it, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.